And then they got in my head. And we have this word we use, it's called mind speak. And doesn't that sound so pretty? It's not pretty. It's not goddamn pretty. They bullied their way in my head. It's like they just went in and, you ever been in a mosh pit? Throwing elbows. Raped me against my will in my head. Get out of the way, we're here. And you have no choice in the matter. My fucking mind went to marbles. It just fell apart, And then this is what they said to me. And I say the words said and voice and all, because there are no words to describe this, But I knew things and I heard things. I know what those fuckers sound like. I'm telling you, Carrie.
Multiple voices? Was multiple voices?
There was more than one there. There was one behind me, pressing me down, and they swept to the right side of me, to behind me. Nothing on the left of my. Swept to the right side. And they speak as one, but there was more than one. And I realized they're never alone. Never alone. And they act as one. And this is what they said, and I've got a piece of paper because my mind doesn't work very good when I get into this. I don't feel like it. This is what they said. No particular order. I'm just going to say it. All right. This is what they said to me. We're the predator, and you're the prey, and we hunt you. That's what it's all about. They're predator and we're prey. And it wasn't weird. I am prey. And we hunt for sport. Just like I would hunt a deer for sport. Just like I would hunt a hog or a rabbit. That's what I was. I was the prey. And they were the predator. And Carrie, I knew I was a dead man. God damn it. At that moment, I realized I wasn't leaving alive. I knew it. They took me down the bottom of the rabbit hole, and everything I took with me was of no avail. So if you think a gun's going to help you, if you're thinking a gun is going to help you when you get to the bottom, when they take you to the bottom of the rabbit hole, you're a goddamn fool. You won't even know how to use it. And what do we take as men? Our strength, our will, our resolve. They held me in a chair, and I'm a 200-pound man. I'm 6'4". My mind went to mush, and I'll say this, and I don't care. My faith failed me. Why didn't I pray? Why didn't I cry out to God? Why? What the hell? A Christian man. Everything fell to the ground. And I was a dead man. Oh, and they just kept talking. Kept talking. They said, there's prey, there's pawns, and there's people that we just don't care about. So you're either a prey to them, or you're a pawn to them, or they ignore you. Not everybody's prey, they said. but there's ponds, they called them. And the ponds, they used the ponds to push stuff and give stuff to the prey. So that big footprint that we got, go to our channel, you know. A pond gave us that big footprint because Chris and I were getting discouraged. And if you've ever Bigfooted for years, you know what discouragement is. And you're just ready to chuck it, all right? I'm not going back to that swamp. I'm done, you know. This is, and all of a sudden, we get a footprint. Not just a footprint. Go check it, you know. It's huge, perfect. And Chris and I got so excited. You know what we did? We did the town hall meeting around it. They told me that Chris was prey, but Beata and Betty were pawns. And anything that happened to Betty and Beata, that Beata is Chris's wife and Betty is his sister. And if you go to the channel, they go out with us. Anything that happened to them was only to keep us in the swamp. So they were pawns. So when Beata got her camera stick pushed, it was to keep Chris and I in the swamp. And Betty got her ponytail pulled. It was to encourage us to keep us going back to the swamp. And once you're prey, they said. I didn't realize that at first. Once you're prey, you're prey.
So you essentially became a trophy to them.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. It's in my notes. Well, is a deer a trophy? What do? We take it home and bring it to. Yeah, well, the racks we take home and mount above our fireplace. I did. I had one. Take the hog heads, put them up on our wall. That's all we are to them. That's all I was to them. Without regard to me as a person, the family I would leave behind. They told me I was to go first. They would kill me first. And then they would take Chris, because what would Chris do? They said Chris would go back in the swamp in memory of Mark. I'm not going to stop. Mark is dead. We're going to go back in memory of Mark. And they would take his life. They love sport. They groomed us for the kill, they said. Everything that happened in that fucking swamp was to groom us for the kill. Go watch our channel. You know, Carrie, a lot of shit went on.
Yeah.
And you know what? Chris and I had only been out in the swamp for a year or two, and people that had been out for 20 years didn't have the shit that we got.
I think it's where you were too.
And we thought we we were special. We thought they liked us. We thought they were developing a relationship with us. They were grooming us for the kill. So all the chatter and the talk and the thuds and the knocks, all the time we saw, and we'll talk about this in a minute, the cloaked figures and the pixelation and the physical evidence, the tree structures, the footprints. We saw footprints, but it's hard to cast in Florida.
Right.
Grooming us. Calling us in. What do you do when you turkey hunt? How do you bring the turkeys to you? Tell me, how do you do it?
Yeah.
That little
Call them in.
You call them in.
I do want to say this right quick, just to provide just a little context. When you say they, you're not talking about the Sasquatch themselves?
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
We're
I
not
just
talking
want
about
to give some context to the,
Yeah.
to the people here.
We're not talking about the hairy beast here, but
Okay.
we're going to talk about the hairy beast. Okay,
You're-
let's talk about it now.
You're getting a ton of support here, by the way. Just FYI.
They said there's predators, there's helpers, and there's observers. That's how they're structured. The predators, once a person is, and we'll talk about this, once a person becomes prey, I don't know whether they're assigned or whether they're appointed. They never told me. I don't know, but I know they get a predator. I had that shit eater that was pushing me in the chair was my predator because she was taking the kill. The people, what do I call them? God damn it. The ones that swept to the right were the helpers. There were probably observers, and the observers, what do? You take your 12-year-old boy out to hunt with you, don't you? And you train him, and you show him how to use a gun and how to hunt. Well, they take their unlearned ones, and they watch the kill and the hunt. And you know what? When I came back, and we'll talk about that too, but I told Chris, what happened to me. He said, Mark, you're always using plural. And I realized there are always more than one, multitude. Once a predator is assigned, they all fall in line. They said no one jostles, no one fights. They don't fight amongst themselves. No one tries to take his kill. They all fall in line with the predator, and they act as one. They said it's like a magician's trick. And I had the sense that I look back on it now, they were telling me things so that I could understand them and putting them in ways that I could understand in a fucking condescending way. Their arrogance and their condescending towards me. And their pride is off the charts. They're arrogant son of a bitches. And I suppose they have every right to be. Isn't that how I treat a deer or a hog? Very arrogant towards him. Come here, turkey. I'll kill your ass and mount you on my wall. Go back and brag about it. Tell all my buddies how my hunt went. They said we take the kill and we go back from where we came. I'm going to talk about that. They told me where they came. And we celebrate and we talk about our great kills. And we brag amongst ourselves. And that's all we are to them. It's a magician's trick. And how do magicians do their thing? In the right hand, they said, is the hairy beast. The Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, whatever we call that. The hairy beast is in the right hand. And everything that goes along with it, the footprints, the physical evidence, the tree structures, everything that is a physical, I see when we see it, is in the right hand. But they said in the left hand. And I had my hand down. I had my right hand up in the air and my left hand down by the floor are the masters. And the masters, the predators, they call themselves the masters, are setting everything up. Everybody looks at the hairy beast, and no one's looking at the masters, the cloaked, the whispery creatures, the hooded creatures, the creatures that dart between trees and you run over there and they're not there. The masters are setting everything up for the kill. And while we're all looking at this hairy beast and all caught up in the hairy beast, we're being groomed for the kill. So after that, the hairy beast means absolutely goddamn nothing to me. I don't give a shit about what you saw. It means nothing. It means nothing. That hairy beast is not going to kill you. The masters will kill your ass. It's a magician's trick. They told me they killed Tim Fasano. Now you got to realize I didn't.
You broke up just a little bit there, Mark.
Okay, they told me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
They told me they killed Tim Fasano. They called him my brother. Now you got to realize I despised Tim Fasano.
Right, you
And
guys
what did
didn't
I
get along very
despise?
well.
Well, only because he ridiculed us constantly.
Right.
And made fun of us. 2 weeks before he died, he went to Knox Creek and made fun of us. So I was like, okay, I told Chris, I said, I'm done with this man. I had nothing to do with him because we were trying to reach out and stuff. I'm done with him. And those suckers called me brother with him because he was prey also. And Tim didn't deserve that. You know? They called him a weak kill, but they said a kill nevertheless. So I actually asked them, don't ask me how this, ask them. I said, why show me all this goddamn stuff and then kill my fucking ass? And this is what they said. The greater the knowledge, the greater the kill. And we love great kills, they said. Their intention was to show all this to me and more. I'm not done. And then I take it to my grave. And they get a great kill. And they go back. And they celebrate their great kill. Because he died with all this knowledge. It was never intended for me to survive. And say any of this. Who knows what they told Tim before they killed his ass? They brought up Bob Gimlin. They said Patty was not afraid. See, all this time I thought Patty was afraid. She was fleeing for her life. She looked back because, are they following me? Oh no, I'm afraid. The humans are coming after me. That's what I thought. What else would I think?
Right.
They said Patty wasn't afraid. They used the word Patty because they knew. She was leading them into the forest and she was looking back to see if they were following her because she wanted them to. I guarantee you she was bringing Bob and his partner to the masters. Well, they were already there, but they wouldn't have ended well. He said it was a cat and mouse game. I remembered when I was a kid, we had a cat and we lived out in the country, so we'd get mice in our house. And I would watch a cat capture a mouse and then bat it around, playing with it. And when the mouse would hold really still, what would the cat do? Nudge it to get it to move. And they said, when you get discouraged and you don't move, we nudge you. I didn't go in the swamp for 2 months. This is the story with Max. I didn't go to the swamp for 2 months. I can't remember why. I live in the city, 5 stories up in a condo. I was walking from the downtown park to my condo where I pushed the code in, go up the elevator. And I saw a cloaked figure to my right. And I was like, what the fuck? So what you do, you try to recreate it, because that's what we do. I backed up, because if it's just a shadow from the street light, I should be able to back up and recreate that. I did it 3 times. Yeah. I went upstairs, texter called Chris. Goddamn, they know where I live. I walked at night at that time for exercise, and 5 times in separate occasions I saw those cloaked, I call them whispery creatures, I know now they're their masters, watching me in the alley, in the parking garage, in the stairway up. 5 times. I went to Chris and I said, you know what? I never felt threatened, never felt afraid. I said, I think they want me to get back out in the swamp.
I'm listening.
I think they want me to get back out in the swamp. I go back out in the swamp, and they go away. I never see them. I never saw them after that. Are you there? Can you hear me? Because
I got you. I'll just.
All right.
If I have to call for anything, I'll just so nobody can hear me coughing into it.
All right. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No problem.
What they were doing, they said, was they were nudging me to get me back out again. Like I said, Chris and I would get very discouraged. We get a huge footprint. Get all enthused again. Beata would get her pole pushed. Incredible story. It was all to groom us, to keep us going back. They manipulated us. And we thought they were our friends. They even told me when they decided to make us pray, go to our channel and look for Awesome Activity. It's the name of the video. This is what happened. We were taking down a audio recorder. Chris is looking a different direction, and he sees a black cloaked figure, which is dog height. That seems to be Chris's thing, the height, going between, just like that, just like that. And he turns to me and tells me, well, I'm all up in this audio thing. I'm not paying any attention. I turn around a different direction, and I see a hooded cloaked figure running between trees. So I tell Chris, I said, I'm going. Just follow me. Let's go. I run over there. Of course, there's nothing there. There's never nothing there. And we hear a grunt, and then we come out into a little clearing, and knocks start happening. And I can't remember, Chris, we're talking a lot, and they surround us. It's a little unnerving. And they told me, they said, we were talking to each other about whether you're worthy to be prayed. And they said the knock is not, the knock, you only hear like this much of it, okay? And it sounds like a knock to our ears. They said it's a vocalization, and there's really this much. I have my hands spread out as far as they can go, and you can't hear that, and you don't understand that, and you won't. You just hear this much, and to you it sounds like a knock. They said, and then that last knock we heard that was far off was the final knock. It was it's settled, and they said after that moment, you were prey, and predators were assigned to us. They said they were toxic to us. Everything about them is toxic. They used the word toxic. If I looked at them long enough, it would do harm to my body. I realized at that time, it was touching me on the shoulders, killing my fucking ass, holding me down. They said, if you go where we're come from, it's toxic to you. They told me the veil, and they called it a veil, that the veil between us and them is flexible. See, I knew there was something going on. I talk about it in that video with Max, because they just disappear. You'd hear vocals that were so close to you that you should be able to see something, but you don't. Beata gets her camera pole shoved. She instantly turns around and sees nothing. Betty gets her ponytail pulled. Turn around, nothing. We hear thuds, nothing. Can't see anything. And repeated years of this. They said the veil is flexible. I always thought it was like a rigid thing, because that's what we see in the movies, They can flex behind the veil, reach out, grab Beata's camera pole, and push it. And she turns around and can't see shit. They can pull Betty's ponytail. She turns around and doesn't see shit because they're doing it from the other side of the veil, because it's flexible for them. Or they can pass through the veil. The masters. Well, they all can, really.
That's pretty unnerving, actually.
Yeah, isn't it? Remember the video when I'm down by the creek? I reference it with Max. And Betty and Chris and Beata go in way back behind me, and they go into the wood line. And I see a cloaked figure maybe 20 feet behind me. Black whispery creature, I called him. I thought it was Chris and Beata because, your mind does it. It makes sense of all this, or it tries to. So it something familiar. And I thought to myself, Chris came up on me, and I didn't hear him. So I sweep around to say something to him, and it's not there. I went behind the veil.
Now, real quick, before you had this experience, when you saw these wispy creatures, these dark things, did you think that they were one and the same with the Sasquatch, or did you think it was something different?
Well, I knew it was part of the phenomenon because we go out looking for the hairy beast and we get all this other stuff. And I always had a sense that it was all related. Right. I know now, don't I? It is all related. And the whispery creatures are the masters. And the hairy beast are like, what? The entertainment?
The ruse.
Yeah, it's the magician's trick. Chris said, after I got done telling him everything that you're going to hear tonight, it was like he was in the Wizard of Oz and the curtain was pulled back. And he saw what it was all about. He said, and he even told me, and I don't want to speak for him, but it's like, holy shit, it makes sense now.
Thank you, thank you, Jamie Cotterill, by the way, for that $20 super sticker. Sorry to interrupt, Mark. Just
it's all right.
Thank you for that.
I just want to make sure that I got everything.
Yeah, I'm trying not to interrupt any. I remember the conversation we had on the phone, and I don't want to direct you because I know you had this stuff written down. I mean, a lot of things are coming to mind, but eventually you're coming with this stuff. So I'm trying here.
There's more, but and when I came back, Chris said, Mark, you're going to remember things that you forgot. Because so people do that when they go through trauma.
Right, writing it down helps that for sure.
But it happened to me 3 different occasions, and I'm going to talk about that later on. So I'm just encouraging it. There's more, and there's some really important information you need to hear that's going to come later, because I'm talking about when I get back and what happened when I got back and what's going on with me now. Okay, so right. we're gonna get to this other stuff. So here, and then obviously I didn't die. I'm here, and this is what happened. The fire, and I have this huge fire going, and it popped. And in my head, it sounded like a 20 gauge shotgun. A 10 gauge shotgun went off in my fucking head. It just, and I fucking jumped up. And I heard something say to me, and it wasn't them. It said, run. One word, run. Carrie, I ran like a motherfucker. The 67-year-old man with a bad knee who can't run. I ran like a goddamn motherfucker. I ran in that cabin. I slammed the door shut and I locked it. They were right outside the door. I felt them. I knew it. And they were still in my gut. They were. Fuck. Fuck.
You're okay, man. Take your time. It struck me. It struck me when you said that. It's okay. You're okay. I just want to say, when you first told me that, Carrie, I don't run. I can't run. My knees are bad. I'm 47. You know, you got 20 years on me. So I understand the running. And you said you ran like you were 18 and had never run before. That struck me when you first told me that.
The Father intervened. I don't know if you know. I know people listening. There's not Christian people or whatever. Divine intervention, the universe. I don't care what word you use. Put on it. I don't care. The Father intervened on my behalf. I was powerless. I was a dead man. I'm a dead man walking, Carrie. I shouldn't be here. Isn't it strange they couldn't catch me? Being a Christian, I guess, I believe that once the Father intervened, they couldn't lay a hand on me.
And you said that pop was like a shotgun going off in your head. It was very loud, right?
Shotgun in my fucking head. I mean, we've all heard fires pop. They don't sound
right.
Like that, but unless you have a can of gas.
Right.
I had what kind of gas or aerosol? And I went in the cabin, and this is what they said to me. This is important, folk. They said, let us through the threshold. I would have been safe in a tent. Let us through the threshold. I didn't feel it at the time, but I look back on it now, and I was in control then. And I didn't feel like it because my mind was a goddamn. I pulled my phone out and I didn't know how to use it. There's something about them and electronics. We know that. I didn't know how to use my phone. I was going to call probably Chris. I couldn't use my phone. And they said it over and over and over, and they wouldn't shut up. It was tormenting. I can't explain to you, Carrie, how tormenting it was for me. Because they were mad, they were furious. It was beyond human anger. It was something unworldly.
What is it about the threshold that keeps them out?
At that moment, it became a threshold to me, that doorway did. Like I said, I knew at the moment I would have been safe in a tent. I had to willingly, at that moment, let them in. If I would have opened that door, they would have killed my fucking ass right there. And I would have been one of those 411 stories. which, and the Father created a threshold for me. That's how I see it, because I'm a Christian man. But, if you're not a Christian man, you could take that however works for you, okay? But the way I see it is, Father made a threshold for me to keep them out. I'm beyond grateful. I don't have words. He didn't have to do that for me. Carrie, how many people have they found that didn't have a threshold?
Yeah.
Or they had a threshold and they let me in. What the fuck? So you know what I did? What? I had whiskey and I drank. I drank to get those things out of my head. I got fucking drunk. I passed out on the couch. I got up the next morning and they were there. I drank all the next day. I didn't leave the cabin. I was terrified. I could not open that door. I would not open that door. But I got drunk. And I've forgotten about this till recently. I don't think, Chris, I don't think you know this. I peaked twice that day because I'm not a drinker. I brought the whiskey only because that's what you do as a man. You go out in the cabin, you smoke. I brought a cigar. I don't smoke at all. Smoked a cigar, drank whiskey. That's what you do.
Yeah, relaxing.
It's just, and so I'm not a drinker. I was a drinker. I was a drinker that night.